Peace, family. It's Asmar, host here at Secure Tomorrows, where we talk about what happens after the lights, after the cheers, and how athletes build real legacy outside of the game. Today's guest, we got a special guest with us, right? Emily Feree. Glad to have you on. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So for the audience that don't know, right, if you could just introduce yourself and tell them what exactly do you do? What's your profession?
So I'm a physical therapist, and I primarily work with professional athletes in the NFL and the MLB. Pretty much athletes across all different sports, but primarily those two sports. So I am part of the back end process of their rehab, their recovery, the performance training while they're playing. And because of that, I've overseen a lot of athletes who transition from professional sports back into everyday life.
Okay. Yes, yes. And the way I describe it is a disciple, a healer, right? That's kind of how I explain it. So the unique thing about us, of course, is you healed me the first day I met you, right?
Yeah,
So,
if only it was that easy, just day one. They would
right.
pay me more money if I could do that.
Do you remember
The first day I met you?
first day?
Of course I do. You came in with Drew Tranquil
Yep.
right before
Right.
camp. Your hamstring was hurting,
Hamstring.
and you were very shy.
That's what you remember.
And yes, and you did not like more aggressive manual therapy. I do remember that.
This is true.
Yes,
But
very pain averse.
but all pain isn't bad pain. There's pain that's good for you, right?
Yes, there is pain that is good for you. Yeah.
So perfect. Yeah. So I know for me that was a worry of mine.
Hmm.
I know this was my year of going into the league, and I had that hamstring injury. It was during COVID, and we were awaiting the time to come in and report. And I know I kind of flew out. I thought I was going to fly out early just to be able to receive the treatment, but they ended up just making that the official day anyways, the day that I ended up coming. But I came to you primarily to nurse my hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of the different techniques and stuff that you do, and maybe we can speak on that later on. But it got me up to speed,
Yeah.
right? And as I know, and I'm sure you know just from dealing with a lot of athletes, most of the time your best ability is your availability.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not available, right, if you're not right healthy and able to play, then I mean you're damaged goods at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I have from a lot of the guys that I've seen over the years, I collect jerseys, they sign the jerseys, and one of my favorite inscriptions is a player that told me, "You do all the behind the scenes work that nobody knows. We play in front of millions every week, but nobody knows you're the reason why we're able to play for millions and feed our family." So for me, that was kind of always my purpose being in the sports space, is that this my job help people, one, realize their own personal dreams, but two, realize family dreams, provide for their families, basically do it on the biggest stage in the biggest way. So that was always kind of why I loved it.
Which is a huge compliment. And honestly, I don't know if you know, but when people ask me how I made it to the 53-man roster, I say because of the healer.
Are you serious?
Because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly indeed.
Aw,
Because
thank you.
without you nursing my hamstring back first to even get into camp, and as you know, I had an injury again where I messed up my hamstring.
Yeah.
And at that point in time,
Your other hamstring.
my other hamstring,
Yeah.
right?
We should have been looking at both.
My other hamstring. And at that period of time, we didn't even have preseason games.
Right.
So we were scrimmaging against each other.
Yeah, you didn't have another opportunity to show what you could do other than camp. Yeah.
So I had to, of course, heal so that I could be able to showcase my skills and talents in front of the coaches. And if it wasn't because of you, I wouldn't have had the chance to be able to do that and be able to make the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so perfect. Let me ask you this. Why exactly did you get into this space, and why tailor to athletes?
Yeah, so I was never a professional athlete, but sports was always a huge part of my life and a huge passion of mine and a huge part of my identity. And sports ended for me they ended for me in two different phases. They initially ended for me because of injury. So I really wanted to play college soccer, and I fractured my hip when I was in high school, and that pretty much ended any offer that I had. But luckily I had the grades and things to go to USC, and so I didn't necessarily need sports, but that was all I ever wanted to do, was play college sports. So when I couldn't and I didn't have those Division I offers, I was just playing pickup games and just playing soccer for fun. And my junior year, the head coach happened to be walking by me playing a pickup game and asked me to walk onto the team. And at that point, I had really grown in my faith, and I also was looking at basically the biggest dream of my life coming true for what seemed like no reason whatsoever. But at the time, I was also serving in a Christian ministry that took up my entire summers, and soccer is a fall sport. So I would have, so it was my junior year, and and it was during the spring, so it was in their off season, and I walked onto the team. And so I would have had to come back in the middle of summer for camp to play in the fall season. I would have only gotten one season, but it was the dream. And I had to make a really tough decision of would I continue to serve in this ministry or would I go do this dream that meant a lot to me? And I ended up making the really tough decision to not play soccer, even though I had the opportunity and it was the dream.
Oh.
So I have a really personal kind of emotional feeling about sports ending because of what I've gone through. And also just what sports means to somebody with identity and passion and things like this. And because I had been through what was at the time a career-ending injury as well. So when I decided to go the physical therapy route, I chose physical therapy in general because I wanted skills that were directly beneficial to other people. I wanted to study something in school and have a skill set that I just could directly benefit other people and that was less theoretical. And I knew the medical field kind of generally drew me to that, but I specifically chose physical therapy because it was relational. And that was just the way that I felt like I was designed to benefit this world was relational. And so I chose physical therapy because it was kind of the best mesh between medical and relational. And I ended up choosing sports, I think, because of my own background and history with what sports and injury had meant to me. And I think it really felt full circle to be able to be on the other side. And it felt redemptive to be able to be on the other side of letting injuries not be career ending for somebody. So
Wow.
that's what ended me up here.
That's big time. So very purpose-filled work for you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess when asked what do you do is how do you serve humanity,
Yeah.
right? And you're able to serve them directly by healing them. And then also with the sports, right? So for you, was it hard navigating what was next once you weren't able to continue on in sport, or was it an easy transition to say, oh, I know I'm going to be doing physical therapy?
I think it was an easy transition for me to know that I was gonna be doing some sort of relational ministry in general, and that that avenue towards physical therapy was kind of already in place after that injury, and so that felt like a really obvious next step for me, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I got you. So perfect. So one of the other things that we talk a lot about on this show is securing your tomorrows.
Hmm.
And I know we have a close relationship.
Hmm.
And I know for you, you do a lot of different things investment wise as well. I know you bought a home. I know you invest in different things. And I also know that you got life insurance, right? So talk about a little bit of that and why you chose some of those different investments for yourself.
Yeah. I am really lucky and privileged that I grew up in a family that had already taken steps to grow generational wealth and had the privilege to do so. So I was in a position financially to continue that on myself, in large part because of what my parents and grandparents had done. And so I think when I first started working and making money at all, I had an awareness of the fact that I wanted to grow wealth, not just for myself, but for generations. And so investing was really important to me. And then through you, I learned more about life insurance and the fact that it was basically an alternative way to invest. And so I actually started with life insurance before I was married, before I have kids or anything like that. And I think a lot of people are surprised to know that I have life insurance when I don't have kids. But to me, especially because of the cash value of a plan and the ability to, one, diversify investments, but to build wealth in a fund that I may need to borrow from or may need to utilize for capital for different things, it made sense to start that early. So, and I'm also just a big believer in preparing yourself, not in a crisis or not like in a time of need, but before you're in a time of need. So obviously when you have kids, it's, that's where the risk comes in of if you don't have life insurance, your kids can be in trouble. So I wanted to be prepared even before I had kids.
Right.
So a couple ways I wanted to grow wealth and generational wealth for myself was through real estate, through investments, and through life insurance. So to me, those were 3 different diversified ways to do that. So I'm invested in the market. I have retirement funds. I purchased a home and I was able to purchase a home. And then I have life insurance, one, to protect my home purchase because I have a mortgage. And so if I were to pass and that home would be passed on to either my kids or a relative or my spouse, then they would not have to shoulder the mortgage by themselves, not potentially lose the house. So to me, a home is such a huge way to build generational wealth. It would have been tragic to potentially have lost that for future generations or families. So that's why I chose life insurance.
Wow. Sounds like you have a great person that gave you some good education on the topic.
Yes.
But perfect there.
Uh-huh.
So of course, right, one of the things that you were mentioning is just being proactive rather than reactive,
Right.
right? Rather than having to react in the moment of crisis, you were proactively preparing to make sure that your family is taken care of,
Yeah.
right? So the ability to have the foresight to think about family before they're even here,
Yeah.
right? That's important. But also with life insurance, just FYI, the older you get, the more expensive it is. And then the worse your health is, the
Right.
harder it is to qualify,
Yeah.
right? So if eventually your health changes, you have a heart attack or stroke or autoimmune,
Yeah.
you may not even be able to qualify for the product in itself.
And right
So
now I'm super young
super
and
young
healthy.
and healthy. Best time to get it.
Yeah.
And you got it.
Yeah, so I got it at a great rate and it's growing in value and I feel protected and I feel like if I, for whatever reason, were to leave tomorrow, my family is protected. Because even right now, before I have kids, everything passes on to, as of right now, everything will pass on to my spouse. And obviously I want him to be well set up and I have a nephew that's in line to get some things and I just feel like it allows me to pass on the things that I've already grown, no matter what happens.
Yeah, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so I mean, you mentioned a lot of stuff in just regards to investments and the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Who helped you with this information of go get real estate, go set up these investments? Because of course, a lot of times you don't just think to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Who exactly was there to help you and mentor you to help you get things going?
Yeah. I, again, feel really lucky and privileged that I got a lot of financial education from my parents and grandparents. My grandparents grew up very poor. They got married when they were 16 and left homes when they were 16 and really kind of battled it out, learning how to be an adult and have finances and take care of kids very young. And essentially had no financial education and had to figure a lot out by themselves. And the big investment that they made was to buy a home as soon as they could. And they were very frugal and very savvy with their money, and they saved and they built a very impressive amount of wealth through real estate. So just knowing my grandparents' story, I always saw the value in investing in real estate as soon as you could and being able to grow wealth that way. And then growing up, my parents just were very open about talking about money with me and about debt and about credit cards. And um, I just basically learned to stay out of debt and to only live and purchase and operate within my means or below my means. And so I think from an early age, I had just a good awareness of money and how to use it and save it and value it. And then I kind of had this foresight of watching what my grandparents had been through and how they built wealth through real estate. And that's so basically family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
family. All right, one of the scriptures it says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, right? So I think
Yeah.
in that verse alone, it's not just monetary
Yeah.
inheritance.
Yeah.
I think also just the information in itself, right? You have this body of information that you received from your grandparents, right?
Yeah.
That has helped to set you up as well. So I think that's just huge, right? That you had that family to be able to help and guide you as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of the viewers, right, do play sports, not to digress, but I know you work directly with sports. That's how I know you, right? Because how you help me,
Yeah.
service me.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about this. So for me, even
Mhm.
myself, you know my story and just like the injury and being waived directly after. And I'm sure just based off of the amount of athletes that you worked with, you probably saw the demise of many careers where an injury perhaps was the end of it. And you probably, I mean, you were with me when I was training to get back and land on a team.
Yep.
And you kind of seen the hope and, right, how is it taking on the not only the pain of these injuries, but also just the emotional turmoil of possibly not landing on the team,
Yeah.
right? Dealing with that with different athletes. How is that?
Yeah, I mean, you see the stress of it, and I see a lot of athletes who I not only their financial hopes and dreams are not just their own, it's their families as well. And they carry the stress of providing for themselves, but providing for other people that they love, and to carry that weight and then lose it. They're not just losing it for themselves, they're losing it for other people too. And it's really hard to see the stress and the worry of that because I think there's just the natural like identity loss of thinking, I'm not a football player. There's the grieving of a dream if it's lost personally, but then there's the weight and stress of what will other people do if I can't make it and can't provide? And it is extremely heavy and it's really hard. And I struggle with it because, there's only so much I can do. Like I can't go out and do workouts with teams and I can only prepare guys so much and I can only help so much. And at some point the chips are gonna fall where they may. And my heart really breaks for guys who have to exit the league in maybe ways that is not of their choosing or not in their control. And I've also been a part of stories where guys have to go through the really difficult process of choosing to exit the league, and trying to figure out if that's the right time. And I've had two instances specifically where players have called me in tears and just said, like, I think it's time. I want to be done. I don't know, like, what do you think? And so then the weight of them taking my opinion
Right.
of like, do you think I should keep going? And that's really, really hard. But because of my own background and my story, my instinctual response is always to be like, play as long as you can, like never give it up, never let it die. But that's not always the right decision for people. And these guys in particular had very actionable skills and connections and things where they would be fine without football. They had job opportunities, they had dreams and passions outside of football, where they were going to do just fine. But there is something about letting go of being a professional athlete that is really gut wrenching and identity shifting. And I see it. And in some ways, I'm a part of it. And um, I don't think there's anything in this life that compares quite like it. And I don't know exactly why, but there's something about losing being an athlete that's really hard and it really shakes you, I think.
Truly.
Yeah.
And I know that's a lot for you. I mean, it's a lot for the athlete, but also to come to you as advice for healing.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot for you. So how do you necessarily deal with it all? I know you're a
Yeah.
woman of faith. I know
Yeah.
and you're doing God's work, but how does faith play a part for you just in this service?
Um, I think it's a reminder that I think because my personality, like I'm a fixer, I want to be a helper, I want to be a fixer, and there's certain things I cannot fix or help. And in those instances, it's a reminder that I am not the one in control and that God has these people and He has a plan for them. And it's not my role and responsibility to take care of them, it's His. And um, trusting other people trusting God with other people is really what that comes down to. And I mean, I pray fervently for them, and then at that point, I just have to trust that something good is coming out of the situation, and um, that it is not necessarily always my responsibility, and I have to kind of take myself out of the equation because it's not about me, and I've done what I can do, and I have to trust Him with the rest.
True.
So trust is, I guess, the big
Yeah,
one.
trust, big trust.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of information. I mean, hats off to you for the work that you do with these players, truthfully. So just for yourself,
Mhm.
right, where would the audience be able to find you? I know, right, you're a business owner, right? You servicing a lot of players.
Yeah.
Where would they be able to find you to be able to get your service?
Yep. So I've got two locations, one in Irvine and one in Los Angeles. Irvine's my main location. So physically to see me in Orange County, California. And then to reach out to us, you can either email me at emily@fereesportslab.com. I'll trust you to put that in a caption or
Okay,
something.
will do.
Or you can reach out on Instagram at feree.pt.lab.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, there it is. This
Thanks
is
for
the
having
healer
me.
in herself. Thank you for hopping on.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me.